right, so we got a lot of rain. We were hoping to be able to start hauling manure today, but we got a ton of rain, so we are not going to be able to do so. But we still have a few things to do. So this cellar right here, the floor is all chewed up from when they took the potatoes out. So we have to get that floor all leveled out. We have to haul in dirt. We're hauling in dirt right now, getting it leveled out. I have to move this this spud planter behind me. I have to move this because this piler that's right here, we got to put it in the cellar. We're going to start putting all of our seed cutting equipment in the cellar. So as soon as we're done hauling manure, we're going to start cutting our seed for planting spuds. So we do have a lot to do today. So we also have one of our manure trucks has a bad gearbox underneath the bed. So that just came in. We're going to go get that, and yeah, we got to take the whole bed off and change that gearbox. So join me today as we just do a whole bunch more random stuff, still trying to get everything ready because the weather keeps not cooperating and it's just a muddy mess. So the only thing we can do is prep. Yeah, so I'm just driving this out and you can see all the puddles. So the sad part is there was no puddles and this was all completely dry on Saturday. So it looks like we're gonna get 2 more rainstorms at the end of the week. So we're hoping that it all kind of dries out in the next couple days so we can kind of get going on the manure, because we have a lot of manure to haul and not a whole lot of time to do it. So it's just a muddy mess right now, but mainly we're not doing anything with this planter for a bit. The other one's already back over here. So I'm just gonna pull this one back over here by this other planter and we'll park it until we get done with hauling manure. There's still a few things we haven't hooked up. So we have the John Blue pump over there on the corner. It's on and mounted and everything, but we don't have the sprockets. There's a sprocket that goes on the tire and a sprocket that goes up on the John Blue pump, and that's how it works. Is the tire, it's a ground driven pump, so the tire will drive the pump, and we don't have the right sprockets for it yet, but they should be here before we get into planting. So man, look at all this mud. Yeah, I don't want to go out in that field. I would probably get stuck. All right, well, my grandpa grabbed me and said he wanted to go look at the dairy, at the manure situation, because it's kind of a mess, kind of sloppy because of all the rain. So we're out here at the dairy and we're gonna go look at the manure. So it's kind of sloppy.
Where they got that boat from?
So this is the road in to the biggest area that we usually go to.
Let's drive it.
We're gonna drive up this. It's about 2 feet deep of manure.
No, it's not that deep.
Maybe a foot, at least a foot.
Maybe 6 inches.
We'll go see what the krails look like.
It looked like it was fairly packed where they were driving through here.
It smells great out here. So there's a little bit of solid along the front, but much behind that, and it's gonna be sloppy.
They got that pump down there.
Let's see what it looks like down here.
They put out of the corral.
All this slop we're driving through is about a foot deep. Looking at the tires, it's about up to the middle of the axles. Looking at the tires, it is. You want to just keep driving and drive through all this all the way up to the front, all the way up over the end, because we're pushing it with the bumper. We're making waves. Oh, yeah, it's over the axles now. You want to keep going?
I believe it's over the axles.
We're pushing it with the front bumper.
I don't believe that.
Oh, it's deep.
How can you see the bumper?
I just see the wave we're pushing.
Well, it's just the tires.
And then I can see the hub. It's up to the center of the hub on that back tire. I'll show you. Right there.
Yes. That's what they're trying to
this, what they have, this is a tractor hooked to a pump, and they pump it into that slurry tank that we just passed, and then they try and pump it out on the fields, because this is the problem they're having. It's going up into the where they feed. So
Let's go right on through.
we're just gonna drive.
Just kind of careful flashing it over.
We're gonna drive right up. You can see the waves that we're making.
What a mess.
Hopefully we can make it up through here. This is about as deep as I've driven this truck through manure before. Oh, we're spinning. Come on, Bessie. Come on. We're good. This is another one of the areas. We're hoping to get it solid enough that we can haul it, because we can't really haul slop, so. Now that is about 2 feet, maybe more deep, right there, of slop, and then you have the solid manure right there back behind it. Now most of this slop, a lot of it came from the rain we just got. We got about an inch of rain, half inch to an inch of rain, so that's where a lot of this came from. Start coming in the doors. And then there's that area down there, and I don't know if that's, I imagine it's sloppy and solid. It's kind of a mix, but so here's the lagoon. There's so much manure that it's run over the road into the lagoon, so the lagoon just has this thick manure crust on the top. But you can't really drive past it anymore. So this is the lagoon right in front of us. So where these little puddles are right here, that's in the lagoon. So that's at least 10 feet deep, and then as you go out, I think it's about 20 feet deep in the middle. And it's clear full, level with the field.
Where do you think they were going?
The dairy is kind of a mess. With all the snow, we got that 14 inches of snow, and then just rained almost an inch, and the dairy's kind of a mess right now. But they're trying to pump out what they can, the slop out onto a prepped field so it can dry, and then they have some solid that they have a side dump that they kind of haul the solid in to try and firm up the manure a little bit so we can actually haul it. So we'll see in a couple days if it's actually haulable. All right, so let's go into the cellar and see what progress we've made. So we have this loader where he's coming in and kind of smoothing stuff out. The other loader is way over there, right along the edge of one of our fields with a dump truck, and that's where they're scooping the dirt from. So we'll go see what progress they've made. Got the dump truck and the loader. So there was a really big hole right here, and we've kind of filled that in. We need to smooth it out a little bit. And then there's 2 holes back here that the scooper really dug in. So we're gonna go, one of them's kind of right here. You can see the little dip right here. That's one of the bad ones. And then there's another bad one on the other side. So there's one that I think they pretty well got. They got one. It was right here where these vents are. There was one, but they got that one fixed and smoothed out, and then they moved the vents over because all these vents were over here. So they had to fix this one, move the vents over so they could fix the ones on this side. So now we have this hole right here. You can see how low it is. It's supposed to be up to these boards right here. It's about 2 feet down. So dump this load of dirt and see where that gets us. I think we're gonna need at least one more load after this. dump trucks. I think they're late 70s dump trucks. He can only go so high or else he'll hit the seating up there. So we can't quite get it all out because you can't lift it quite all the way high. So, but we can get most of it. I think this will about do it. We may need one more. You have to be careful not to hit the grain truck that's right there. We've had to do this every year. Seems like every year they dig the floor out with their scoopers. Either they do it or we do it. Because we have to, this is our seed cellar, so we'll pile seed in here. That's why we need the floor to be nice. But this is our seed cellar, so we're getting it smoothed up to cut seed, and this will all be full seed, and then we'll come in the back. You can see way down there, you probably can't see it, it's outside the door, is our scooper and our piler. We'll bring that in and we'll scoop the seed out from that end, working to the front. So it's either the people who take the potatoes out that we harvested in the fall that scoop it up and ruin this floor, or we do it with ours. So one way or another, we usually ruin this floor every year and have to put dirt back in here and pack it. So I think this year after seed, we might be putting concrete in here, which would solve all of our problems. I think this will be the last load. We just have kind of one little low spot here and then a little bit along the wall, but I think this will be the last load. Last load, I believe. Josh is just filling in a few low spots that he's found. And then we'll smooth it out and this will be about ready for seed, I think. Have our piler here now that we are trying to take. Josh has the loader attached to the other end because it was stuck in a hole, but we got to get this piler in the cellar. This is our seed piler, so we're trying to get it out so we can use it. So we'll see how this goes. Got to swing the boom over this one so we don't hit our grain bin. Yeah, we'll get this thing moved. Well, we're spinning. Keep pulling. We got to spin it around, but we got to get it out of this muddy spot. I guess whatever way. He's just dragging us. Well, we're going. Whether we want to or not, we're going. Well, we got it out of there, just dragging it. But it does not like this mud. It just kind of spins. So we're going, just slowly. If we get stuck, Josh will push us with the loader. But we are on the way. It's a little bit drier up here, so hopefully we don't get stuck too much more. While I'm driving this thing, I might as well tell you guys, we have a merch store open now. So if you go onto our channel page, there should be a tab that says store. You can get these hats, you can get t-shirts, There's hoodies on there. There's another hat that you guys haven't really seen that just says RMF on it. So go check that out if you want some merch. And yeah, hopefully you get it and it looks good. So we've been trying out a lot of designs from our supplier, and everything so far has looked pretty good. So I hope you like it. Okay, we've made it to the cellar now. So this last little hill is usually where we get stuck. So hopefully we don't get stuck. It's still going. It's just going slow. Josh is gonna give us a little push. And hopefully we don't hit the cellar. It's kind of sliding. Little push and we're over the hill. So just that one little hill. This thing can never climb up it in the spring because it's usually just a little bit muddy. Now we have to move it all the way to the other end of the cellar. So it'll take a while. We're almost to the end. We're just getting it down here. So we can't go all the way to the end because we're gonna have our scooper and another piler set up on the other end. So we'll come about 100 feet, 50 to 100 feet off the end, and that's where we'll stop. That's where we'll start the pile for the seed. But we are getting it down here. The scooper, we bought a newer scooper. It's still from like the 80s, but it's a newer scooper. We got to bring it in and unload it. And then we have our old piler that's even older than the scooper. I think it's from like the 60s or 70s. And we'll hook that to it. We'll pull them in here. And then when we get done cutting seed, we're ready to plant. That's where we'll load the trucks. So we'll use the scooper piler to load our trucks, and they'll go out the back, and then we'll go load the planters. That's what we do when we're planting seed. We're planting our potatoes, but we're getting there. We still have to go get the dusters and the cutters. So let's go get those. Also, you can kind of see that they got it pretty smooth. Filled in all the holes, but the dirt was kind of wet because it was outside and it's rainy. So in some spots like right here, it's hard to tell. There's a pretty good rut right there from the piler. So some of this is just gonna be here until we take the seed out, and this will probably come out with the seed. So we're gonna have to figure something else out after we cut seed, probably in the summer sometime. These are our dusters. So this is what we treat our seed with. So this one puts some fertilizer on the seed that's like a starter fertilizer, helps it grow. And then this one puts a little bit of, it's just dust. Puts a little bit of dust on the seed to just help dry them out a little bit. We used to use a lot more of the dust, but it really isn't good for you. So we use a lot less than we used to, but we got to put that first, then this goes, and then we have the seed cutter, and this will go after that. So this is, actually this goes in the front, not the back. Yeah, these go in between the seed cutter and the piler. So this is what the truck's back up onto, and then they unload, and it goes across these rollers and into all those knives right there, and it cuts the seed up into little like 2-inch chunks, and that's what we plant. So we're gonna roll the dusters out, turn them on, make sure there's no seed bearings. There's a bearing inside this one that sometimes freezes up. We have to get it going. And then that one, the one that does the dust, we have to hammer on it and get all the old chunks out of it because it just coats with thick dust on the outside. So a few things we got to do before we can actually put them in the cellar. Christopher just got back with this gearbox. So we have to put this on one of our manure trucks. We have to take the bed off. So after we get everything in the cellar, then we will work on this. So I turned it on. This is the one the dust goes in, but there's a bunch of chunks in here. You can see this is what's in there. Just thick chunks of dust. And you have to beat on it to get it to fall off. So I'm gonna be doing that for a minute.
And we got Tara in here. We gotta beat all the old dust out of this barrel. Look at that, he's got drummer's rhythm.
Oh yeah, baby.
Just bang on it and you hear it rolling around in there. And hopefully it'll come out this end. Or sorry, at the other end. Comes in this end. Then it comes out here.
Now they're working on the one we put the liquid fertilizer in. And this is the pile of all the crap that came out of this one. So a lot of stuff comes out. They're filling this up with some water to just test it and see if it'll spray, if it'll pump. Because usually we get everything into the cellar and then we didn't test it. And some old seed from last year. We didn't test it and then it doesn't work. Like right now, this little piece right here won't turn. There's a bearing inside and a bearing right there, but it feels like what isn't turning is this motor. So we changed all this last year, but it may have already seized up just because it gets wet constantly for about a week and then it sits for a year. So there's a good chance it's not gonna work and we're gonna have to take that all apart. So we'll get working on this and see what we have to do here.
Yeah, it's got a different plug-in.
Yeah, he's filling it up because there's this little pump and it pumps it out of there and sprays it in. You gonna spray me?
You need a bath, huh?
No, I'm good. But yeah, we'll keep working on this and see if we can get everything working. See what we have to replace. We've got this is our tube piler that we put where the chips come out of our seed cutter. We just brought it over here to test it out. It has this really long chain that usually pops off a lot. We've tried putting makeshift tighteners on it, but this really long chain usually ends up coming off because we don't really have a great way to tighten this chain. It's just too long, it starts slapping around. So I guess we'll see how well it runs this year. Just ran it and it makes a lot of noise. So yeah, we may have some bearings to change. Probably these two bearings right here. We're running this belt around because last year they had problems with it starting to rip. So we're trying to find the rip. We have a new belt over here on the ground. So we're trying to just run it around until we can find the rip. To see where it's bad and if we do need to change it. So check it out and see if we have to change it. Well, we found the clips and they're definitely worn out and shot just from years and years of rubbing. So we got to take it apart. We're gonna unhook it here and then we're just gonna hook the new one to it and we'll just let it pull the new one on because the drive sprocket is up there. So hopefully it'll go on fairly easy. Fingers crossed. We are just hooking these two chains, hooking the new chain to the old chain. And then it'll go around that drive sprocket right there and it'll just pile it up right there at the bottom. And then we'll just do it back up. So it should be fairly straightforward, fairly easy.
Now you did it.
I know I jinxed it because I said it was going to be easy. Now it's going to be really freaking hard.
I was going to be that one guy. I'm going to do it for good throws that hammer at me.
It's just going to start throwing hammers.
As soon as you say that, I can't hit the rod.
You ready? Almost ready?
No.
Not quite?
What now?
It won't go, that side's not lining up.
You'll help line that side up. This punch.
I guess this is how you'll know if it's the right chain or not, if the widths and everything line up. It looks like it's lined up.
I think it is now.
Just tap it in. Give it a little tappy. Tap, 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 roo. All right. See if this works.
Do we want to do something with that? Or just let it coil up right there?
I think it would just coil right there, and then we can just kick it off on the bottom.
Okay.
Oh, push that down on the front, Trevor, so it doesn't grab that metal. It's going. Work smarter, not harder, people. Just let the machine do all the work. There's the new one. How far do you want it to go?
Down here.
As far as we can. About there? All right. Should be enough to do it up right there. Well, we've got the rod through one side. Trevor went to go get some WD-40 because you can see these rubber pieces right here. There's a piece of rubber that slides over this so it doesn't have a gap, so you don't lose seed through it. So, and it doesn't bruise the seed either. So he's going to get some, but we got to put some WD-40 on there because it would not go on. It's a tight fit. Did you get the WD-40, Trevor?
Yep.
There we go. Now it should slide on nice and easy. There. Every time you move it, I miss. Is it?
Trying to get this punch in there.
Okay, you ready? There. Is it sticking out on that side or is it flush?
You're just like an 1/8 of an inch in. So.
Okay, I think we're good. There, we got the new belt on. It looks good. The old one we had to bolt these metal things onto because all the flaps broke off. These little flappies. So this should work good for a long time before we have to do any adjustments. So we got it running. We replaced those 2 bearings, but it still sounds a little rough. Granted, this metal shield right here does rub on the metal frame as it spins, so that's part of the noise. That's kind of how it works. So, and then that little white thing in there, that is what throws the fertilizer out and covers the potatoes. So we just started this up to oil all the chains. This is kind of how it works. Is the spuds will come up, it sizes them, has different sizes. The bigger ones are up here on top. The smaller ones drop here, and then the really small ones just skip these all together and go underneath. But they'll roll across these sizer fingers. They'll go across here, and then it goes into these knives. This whole row of knives. And it cuts them. Now the bottom ones, it'll just cut them one time, just cut them in half. The top one, however, so it cuts it, and then there's also a second blade up there that's just flat right here. So it cuts them, and then the bigger ones, they'll get pinched between this roller and this roller, and it spits them out, and then it cuts them a second time. So it just sizes them down from a big potato all the way down to your little seed that's about golf ball size, maybe a little bit bigger. But, and then everything comes out the back. The chips that are tiny will fall through here and get spit out the side onto that tube conveyor that we just showed. And then they all go across here. There'll be people standing here. There's knives, and they'll look for the ones that are a little bigger, and then they just cut them on these knives, and then they will flow into the duster. So, but we're all out here trying to get these adjusted and get these set up just how we like them. And then we'll hopefully be able to move everything down to the cellar today. We are moving the cutter down into the cellar now. We were going and we had to unplug it to move the cords around, so unwind them around stuff, but we're gonna start moving this thing down into the cellar. All right, we're rolling. This one's a little bit faster than the piler, but we will see if it can make it through the mud. It does have a little bit better traction tires, so we'll see. I'm just riding on top of it, holding the throttle here while Christopher steers. Hi-ho Silver, away! Well, we got stuck on the same hill that we got stuck on with the piler, so we are going to hook a chain to the Ranger just to help give it a little extra oomph to get over this hill. It's not a very big hill, but it's always just a little bit of sloppy mud right here because the sun rarely hits it. So, all right, he's giving it a pull. We'll see if we can get in. Whoa! He's got a hook on the other side. He's just pulling the front end over. We're gonna hit the door. Okay, we got it in. We had to move the Ranger to the other side because it was pulling it crooked into the door. So, but we got it in. So we just gotta drive it back there and hook it right up in front of those dusters. We almost got stuck in this soft spot. It was just spinning sideways.
We're just gonna have to try to stick to that side when the trucks they pull it down there afterwards.
We got it in here. Got it back as far as we're gonna put it for now. We got to bring in a bunch of dust and chemical and stuff on pallets. And then the duster's right there. So they'll hook to the piler, and then this will back up right to the dusters. And they'll move along the cellar as the cellar gets full. So we got to go out and start working on a manure spreader. We decided we weren't gangster enough, so we had to go buy some gold chain. So now we're gangster. We got to use this to lift the bed off of our #1 truck, which is behind there, so we can change a gearbox. Okay, we've got them hooked up. Their chains that we got to replace our ones that broke are extra long, so we're not entirely sure. Well, this chain came in hooked. We're not entirely sure if these chains will be long enough to actually lift it. So we'll see. I think you're gonna have to go forward. I don't know if it's gonna lift it high enough. Trevor's got to pull the truck forward because if we do this wrong, it slides forward and go forward. It's hitting the cab. Okay, hold up. It's right there. Gearbox is hitting on the frame. Can you lift up any higher, or is that it? Back up. Okay, that might be good. That's as high as he can lift. We might have to, we need to hold this out. We need to hook onto that sprocket and grab it. I wonder if he could just back up, if Josh could. Just try backing up slow. I think you can just back off. It's just the sprocket on that gearbox underneath might catch the edge of the frame a little. I know, I just don't know how without getting underneath there. So we got the truck pulled out from underneath, but the chains are too long, so we can't lift any higher. So he has to try and drive forward because right now it's kind of sitting on his tire. Okay, drive forward. Drive forward. And you gotta slowly sit it down as you drive forward. We just gotta get it off your tire so you can move. Okay, you might be able to back up there. Lift it up. We gotta figure this out. I'll be back.
We got it jerry rigged up so we can get it off of Josh. And trying to set it down on this bale so we can flip it. So far so good, we got it on the ground. Goes. There we go on its side. You can see that gearbox hanging out right here on the front.
We did it.
Right there. That's one we got to change.
You know it's bad when you can turn that shaft and this one doesn't turn. So that's the one we got to change, and it's kind of a pain in the butt because you have to take the shaft out of there. And you have to unhook this double chain and sprocket over here to put it on. So we're gonna try and get this done in the next 30 minutes before the day's over. All right. So we gotta cut this shaft on that side, and we have to cut the shaft on this side too to drop it all out and get it working again. Looks like Josh found another problem over there. The back gearbox is loose too. This gearbox is loose. So we're thinking that the bolts in the top aren't there. So we're hopefully just gonna put some bolts in it and get it firmed back up. We're also hoping we don't light this straw bale on fire. All these sparks. Cannot get this little joint to come off. It's got a little slip clutch on it. The bearing right there is bad. So this isn't what we flipped this over to replace. But we flipped it over and found a whole bunch more stuff broken. So we're just heating it up. And we'll try and pound on it, see if it'll come off. Got it. Just had to use a 10-pound sledge. Okay. We managed to get this back together. So it was a nightmare getting this off. You saw that. We did change this bearing. We were able to get that off without too much trouble. And then we polished the shafts up with this emery cloth. It's like super abrasive, it's like super abrasive sandpaper essentially. That's in a strip, so you can polish the metal around there really easy. And we were able to get it all back together pretty easy. It was just a pain to get it off. And they're working on this side.
A little bit on the sides of the bed.
They're putting this on. They had to change this bearing. They had to change this gearbox. Now he's putting new sprocket back on, new bearings, new gearbox and everything.
That is true.
So this is all new. This is what was bad. We took the bed off to replace this and ended up replacing a whole bunch of stuff. But now we're putting these double chains on, and then we will tighten everything up, and it's ready to put on the truck. Chains are too long, so we are cutting off 6 feet so we can flip this bed back over a lot easier. All right, well, it is all back together. We shortened the chains, and we will pick this up and put it back on the bed tomorrow. Just lifting this bed back up, put it back on the truck. Got to use the straw bale to have the chains slip into the right spot. There we go. That looks pretty good. Get it just right so it'll go on the bed, on the truck easier. A little too much. No, that's pretty good. We'll back the truck out. We'll put the bed on. Got to move the straw bale out of the way first. We got the bed on. All we have to do now is we have these cables to hook up, and we have to put bolts in it, and then we have to hook up the PTO to that new gearbox, and then it's ready to go. All right, well, we got together a lot of things. I think tomorrow we'll be able to finish everything up and possibly start hauling manure. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. It's a long day with a lot of things that we're going on. So hopefully we'll get some field work done here in a little bit. The ground's finally maybe starting to dry out. But go check out the merch store and make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.